We'll be looking at the strategic model adoption, that some planet's strategic model for our real estate business. I think this session is going to expose you to having a first-hand knowledge of how some planets carry out their operations in the real estate space. And it's a privilege, really, to be part of a session like this and to understand and to be exposed to that, right? So let's get started. So this table of contents, we have three things, topics to talk about today. One of them is three strategic business model framework, initiative strategies, and compensation structure of some planets. So let's get right to it. No time to waste. So these are three major strategic business model framework adopted by some planets in the business of real estate. It just comes discussion has gone forth on what we have here, but it's worthy of note to specifically pay attention to them one after the other and see how this reflect in our overall operation. The first one is property development. That is a business strategy through which we acquire and develop property to build long-term value. So, in another word, this is the means through which some planets acquire properties. And the second one is sales and marketing. This provides framework through which investments and purchases are derived. We build, we sell to investment to investors, right? So that's two layers. And the last one is the investment portfolio and facility management. The property that's been acquired at the stage of property development is now being maintained, and the investment, properties and investment, is now being managed for individual investors. So you can see that the strategies or the business model are interconnected. One cannot stand alone. And that's why it's a business model in the real estate space. We acquire through development of property, we have strong network of sales, and at the same time we manage what we have built. That helps, the last part helps to achieve two things. We are is achieving the fact that the property that is being built under the auspice of some planets is protected, well maintained, and stand the test of time through consistent maintenances, repairs, renovations here and there. And the second thing that this last part also achieve is to consistently position to always generate income stream for investors. That is what the model is all about. We acquire, we call in investor through sales, and we manage it for them. Then taking it one after the other, which is the initiative strategic model. This is talking about the acquisition of property through property development strategy. How is it being done? We have some strategic tools, that's the name I call them, through which some planets model acquire property, right? And these are JV, BOT, platinum, bootstrapping, and so many other. But these are the major core. I'm sure not all of us will be conversant with this concept or with these terminologies I used here. So when we say JV, JV means joint venture. Joint venture is an avenue through which a real estate organization or individual can access acquisition of property or properties through partnership with stakeholders. So when I say stakeholders in this regard are in circumstances where the they are landowners. Stakeholders in this regard are landowners that can be approached or that approaches for partnership as to having the land from their end and having to be financed in terms of building structure on it from the other party, which always the developers party. Developers are always the one that comes from the angle of building on the land of another building on the land of the landowners. So they come together, create a partnership that give room to that. I have land, you source for the money, build on my land, then we have an agreement as to the equity contribution and that of the profit that will be shared accordingly. That's one of the ways that some planets acquire property. The other way is called BOT. BOT. BOT is a leasehold arrangement of property acquisition. This happens where it's also a partnership between developer and the landowners. But in this case and regard, the landowner is not letting go of the land in its entirety, or I will put this in another word. The partnership is for a time being, is for a period of time, right? While JV is coming together, to achieve the aim of constructing or having a structure, a valuable structure on a land and share it accordingly. And each individual persons takes their parts or what belongs to them and own it forever. But in BOT, that is not the case. The same concept of coming together, I have land as landowner perspective, and developer has finance. Developer finances, and eventually there's an agreement as to the period through which the developers will be in possession of the property built. It can be 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. We call that leasehold arrangement, and it's called BOT. And what's the meaning of BOT? BOT is build, operate, and transfer. You build, you operate it to recoup your investment, you transfer it back to landowner as at the time agreed. This is the meaning of that acronym BOT. Then another area through which investment property is being acquired through property development is what we tagged as platinum investment. Platinum investment is an avenue that some planet give room to investors to partner in two ways. Investor partner with some planets by the partner um, by being based or being expected their compensation to be an interest or to be an equity. So the meaning of that is some planet calling an investor when a project is being negotiated for, and opportunity are in two in that platinum category, where the investor would be placed on a percentage of their capital by the completion of the project, or instead of having interest on the capital, a certain fixed amount of money, it can always also be on equity. Equity means it's not a fixed amount of money. It can be higher, it can be lower, depends on the outcome of the project eventually. So those are the two means through which platinum investment is being undertaken in some planets. Then the last one is called bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is a financial concept or strategy to finance or to raise capital for a project, right? So it's also another way through which we acquire projects, which is by the number of uh, number of projects executed over the years, there are some level of high level of income that is being generated from that, and such income may now be replowed to acquiring more property, right? It is when you are circling the income that is being generated internally to acquire more properties, and to build and all. That's what bootstrapping is, and it's one of the best, you know, it's one of the best means of acquisition of an asset or investment. In fact, it's one of the strategies that we are going to be teaching you, or that we want you to adopt in your relationship with us when you start making money. Next is the sales and marketing. That is the second business model that we have. And the best way or strategies that has been carved out or discovered in that category of our business are what have been listed here: strong online and offline presence. I believe you all understand what that means. For to Sales and marketing is the medium through which we reach investors and purchasers, right? It's through sales and marketing we reach, investors and purchasers. And you don't sit at the comfort of your home, right, of your possession, and believe that can be done. There are a lot of strategies that are required. In fact, this is one of the most brain tasking departments or business units we have in some planets, right? So you have to be 100% have a strong online presence, having to come up with accurate, specific, and informative content that can be pushed, out there on the internet, so that you can, be able to target the audience that will be interested in the offer you are publicly publishing, right? That's what that is for. And also on the offline sake, the offline is to also take advantage of the likes of billboard, the likes of flyers, the likes of banners in strategic places and locations. So that's what that is all about. Then you can't survive real estate business in this category of business, especially in sales and marketing, without having network of people who are practitioners also, who are also in the same business, who has network here and there, who have information that you may not have, as colleagues and as partners. So that's where we have network of realtors. Realtors are those that are practitioners in real estate, and they are brokers. As I know, I mentioned yesterday that there's a brokerage business in real estate that uh, is also one of the businesses in real estate. So we have high network at the moment. Some client has virtually a connection with all realtors that we could think of within our sphere of operation. Then the next is our data assets. Data assets simply speaks to the years that we've been in the business, the contact that we've gathered, the people that have patronized our genuine existing investor, happy clients, that have been involved in one project or the other over the years. So these are also sources through which we source for investors and purchasers for the buildings or the acquisition that we have under the development of property. Then partnerships, right? Partnerships has to do, an example of partnership is you people, associate program that we are coming up. That's one of the partnerships that, we set up, partnering with people. Also, there are some government agencies that we also partner with. There are some offices, right, that we are looking into partnering with, through which we can have access to pitching, the investment offers to them, to their staff, to their senior staff, and all. There was a time that we were trying to secure an audience with Total Office, Total Company, Total Energy, the oil and gas company, to pitch to their MDs and their general managers about our investment. So those are the kind of partnerships that works when you are trying to get or source for investors for your offers. Then I think I've also mentioned it a little. NHI connection. NHI are high network individual. I think it's HNI. It's meant to be HNI, not NHI. HNI. That's high network individual, right? You seek for connections in that regards. You know who are high network individuals are people that their worth is commensurate with the likes of properties that you want to sell out there. If you are selling a property worth 200, 300, 500 million, you know that it's not everybody that can afford that. But there are some high network individuals that your offers and the prices at which is being tacked on it is a chicken change to them. So those are the audiences that we target for properties of that nature or sourcing for investors of such properties. Then public initiatives. Public initiatives is organization of seminars, physical seminars, online seminars for investors, for people, for potential investors, right? So that's also one of the key areas through which investors can be sourced for. And these are the areas through which some planets explore at the moment. Yeah, to facility and investment management. Facility and investment management, as it implies, I've explained it before, this is the main core of the business that ensures that the property has a high level of sustainability and relevance. What does that mean? It means that the property is well maintained. I gave property facility managers some pillars, some core pillars, factors that must be adhered to in any of the facilities that we manage. Number one is security. There must be 100% security in the properties that we manage. Number two is functionality. There must be 100% functionality of all the facilities that is being provided in the properties that we manage. When we say functionality, you talk about entering your apartment, you open your tap and water is rushing. You turn on your switch and your switch is functioning, light is available, all the basic things, water is rushing everywhere, all the basic things as meant for a house to be habitable is 100% functional. That's one of the core of our facility management. Then another thing is cleanliness, hygiene. Property must always be hygienic. It must always be in clean, in hygienic states, right? Don't enter property and begin to, perceive smells here and there, so that the things that we try to ensure that it is not part of what we see on our day-to-day operations with our property management. And also, one thing I'm also always particular about is aesthetics, right? Because you want to make something functional does not mean that it should not look pleasing. It should be looking pleasing. Your property should look pleasing. That's where you have planting of flowers everywhere. Ensure that everything is well positioned. Is there a defect anywhere or a change of color? Painting to be done to ensure that the property has that face value that is necessary for the business that is up for. So those are the things that we look at from our facility management. Then from our portfolio, for our investment portfolio management, we have CRM. CRM is customer relationship management tech. It's like an app, right, that will be used to ensure that all the data of our clients are well documented and we can reach out to them at any point in time. Then we also have an FM Tech. That's an app where all users, hosts, tenants are onboarded, right, for complaints, for their tenancy or their stay history. So I want to know, okay, when am I going to renew? You can log into that platform. You see the day that you pay, the day that you are renewing, the amount you are paying. And if you want to have any, if you have any issue with the property, you can always raise a concern there. There's a place where you can report an issue. And the issue reported on that platform gets to everywhere, including myself. Everybody sees it so that we don't have lags in the attendance to those problems, right? So, and the investment tech is also a web app where investors can track their investments. You know how much you brought in anytime anyone to the investment of the unit for the unit you have invested in. If operations or activities going on in those units, you are getting the information right on your platform. For instance, if anyone book for one of our short-let apartments and you are one of the investors of that unit, you get a notification. If anyone check out, you get a notification, and payout will be made. We'll trigger payment from our end at the end of the stay of that bookings, which should reflect on your platform. And right there from the platform, you can withdraw the amount accrued to you that's been sent or that has been triggered from our end. That's how much transparency is technology we have devised and adopted to handle our investments, operations. Then client sourcing, of course, is part of what I've said before in the previous sales and all. Also have client sourcing, which is but in this time around, the client sourcing here is not investor. The client sourcing here are users of the already invested property. Because when you've invested property, we need someone to stay there. We need someone to stay so that we can generate income for investor, right? So the management team in portfolio management, they ensure that this client, the apartment or the investment is not void or is not, deserted of users. Because if nobody is using it, it will mean that it will not going to generate the expected income. So that is the structure there. And based on that structure, for what we've built so far, we can guarantee at least 10 months out of 12 months occupancy rate, a very high occupancy rate, about 90% to 80% occupancy rate is always actualized by Sun Planet on a yearly basis, right? Then lastly, on that part is advisory. We also further advise investors as to how to pivot their investment, or investors that want to liquidate their investment. I mentioned that yesterday in our session. Liquidity means that I want to sell my interests. I want cash, right? So that is handled from the advisory standpoint. We'll follow that up and ensure that that process is smoothly, done. This is compensation structure. Compensation structure is adopted and carefully crafted to be able to compensate, appreciate those that are in the field of the sales and marketing operation, because that's the core of the business. Core of the business is that as much as we are acquiring properties, if you're accumulating acquired properties and there are no investors to invest in them, there are no purchasers to purchase them, then there will be a challenge in the model. So for that not to be the case, we have this beautiful drafted means of compensating the people, the brokers, associates, marketing team, sales team are involved in our sales and marketing strategy model, business model of Sun Planet. Number one plan is sell to own. Sell to own compensation. It is to reinvest your commission for investment portfolio. In fact, that is one of our interest and desire for those that are working, for those that are found in that part of the business, to not just only to close deals and get commission and do not account for what you are getting it for. If you should be magnanimous enough to reach out to people to come and benefit from investments that yield interest to them on monthly, yearly basis, you should also be positioned to have the same at your disposal. So that's why we have a structure that give room to having to accumulate your commission at every transaction closes, right? And when that commission gets to the threshold of the basic investment opportunity in some planet, you'll be subscribed for that investment, which automatically makes you an investor in some planet. So that's the major core for this sell to own, right? Part of the compensation structure. I believe many of us will want that, right? Because eventually what that means is you now have another stream of income that you don't even know what is going on there. All you see is you check your platform or some planet, and you're seeing returns on investment piling up on your dashboard, and you can withdraw it at any point in time for whatever it is you want to use it for. That's the best time to go and build house in Ikorodu, right? You build house in Ikorodu, far distance, when you have something that gives you money without you being involved in it, right? You have something that gives you money without being involved, physically involved in it. I'm talking about when you have invested, because investment is handled by some planet and you just get your ROI as the investment performs. So that gives you confidence anywhere you are that money, somebody or something is working for you. That's definition of wealth actually. The definition of wealth is when you can sleep and you are making money. When you can't make money while sleeping, you are yet to start business. You are yet to create something value or system of financial freedom for yourself. It is when you have gotten to that point that whether you are available or not, your what you've done, the investment is putting money in your pocket. That is when you can be tagged as Johnny in the path of being wealthy. So as much as you can now acquire, as much of investment you can now acquire, so much more of the growth you witness in your wealth creation. So the second one is commission income stream, as the name implies, and a percentage of the property sales price when a transaction is completed. So as soon, another structure is when a transaction is completed, the instance is we're able to get someone from your end that, that been prospected and had interest in the offer, and the person say, oh, I'm so interested in what you've shown me. I'm very fine with it. How can I pay? And the person pays and is being onboarded on our platform. Obviously, that guarantees you a commission income. So that can now be used for reinvestment or otherwise as you decide. Right. So the next one is incentives. So incentives for achieving sales targets or customer satisfaction. So there is a threshold. In the next session, it will be mentioned categorically. There's a threshold of amount of money you were able to sell for the organization that will qualify you to be to receive incentives. And these incentives are not small. They are not fat. A lot of them are bigger than the commission that you may even be collecting. Incentives can range from vehicle, cars, it can be even property. It can be landed property. It can be unit of apartment investment. Like I said, it can be cars and it can be other things like laptop, like TV, refrigerator, microwave, uh, washing machine, and so many others. Depends on how you're able to meet up with the threshold at a particular period of time, right? That gives you access to that. Then another benefit that one can get is direct employment opportunity. If you are, if at the level of associates, we are able to see that you have become value. And how can we target to have become value? It means that you've understood the business based on what the training you've gone through, and you're able to perform. And what is the performance? You're able to see that you have ability to convince people, to have ability to convert prospects. You are the highest prospect converter. If I use that word, that qualifies it because the board, the management will notice that, and we may end up giving you an offer to work directly. And the options, I mean, the opportunity that that gives you is this. That continues whatever it is you are getting as commission, and at the same time, it also promises a remuneration on a monthly basis and every benefit that an employment should give, right? So that's a double, um, it's a double beneficial, concept. You get in two ways. You have direct employment, which means you get money through the work salary, remunerations, other bonuses for an employee, and at the same time, you still continue to make your commission exactly as even more than when you were at associate. So that's what that gives you. Then mentorship. This mentorship is actually on application and it attracts a fee. So mentorship means that at a point in time you want to also start a business on your own in real estate. Then you need, okay, let me just read what is written here. Holding hands throughout a process to achieve an objective directly with CEO. I will directly be involved with you to come up with uh, a business in real estate and achieving the goal of the business, like you want to set up a business on your own end. That is also one of the benefits that is available in some planets. And the advantage that one will have is an associate applicant of that mentorship get a discounted amount from what every other person out there will get it as application fee, right? So that is the benefits you get as an associate. I think on these notes, I have been able to run you through all that we do as plans and strategy in some planets, and I'm sure it is clear. This is one of the shortest sessions we've had since we've started, and I hope it is well understood. Thank you so much.